Hi there, and welcome to this lesson where we're going to look at getting the results that you want on your journey to advanced English. And before we start, if you want to have the subtitles, go ahead and activate them by clicking on the little CC icon at the bottom of the video. And this is part of our mini course that we're doing all about achieving advanced English through virtual immersion. We've done part 1, we've done part 2, now we're getting into part 3, all about getting the results that you want on your journey to advanced English. Now, when you start out on a journey, any kind of journey, it's like it's a new adventure. It's the thrill of the future results, and you're super excited and you're motivated and you're ready to do it all. But then the road becomes long and, maybe sometimes boring. So how do you stick with it over the long term so that you get the results that you want? Because remember, consistency is the key. Now, it's a little like training for and running a marathon. I don't know if you've ever done this or if you've ever trained for any kind of big project like this. But, to keep up the motivation and to see the progress, you need a plan to really guide and motivate you to keep with it, to keep it interesting also. So, how do you get this? Well, this is where your practical virtual immersion plan comes in. And we're going to look at how to do this, how to really attack your English from all sides in the coordinated way. We talked about this back in lessons 1 and 2. And today we're going to see concretely how to do this. Back in, I think it was lesson 1, we talked about naturally learning, picking up things through like podcasts, just casual conversations, reading, videos, movies, things like that. And we talked about deliberate learning, where you're maybe studying a transcript, you're having structured conversations on specific topics with specific vocabulary, and you are studying the vocabulary that you're learning through reading or watching movies. We talked a little bit about that in lessons 1 and 2. If you missed it, go back and revise it. It'll be very useful for you. And we also talked about the virtual immersion and, just the importance of really immersing yourself. So we're going to look at one example of how you can do this with a podcast episode. Now, in a virtual immersion, of course, you're going to use lots of different resources, movies, books, conversation, English lessons, coaching, apps, anything that's going to help you to get the results you want. But we're going to look at something very concrete, taking the example of a podcast episode. So I'm going to give you 2 suggestions of podcasts that you can use to implement this program and to try it out for yourself. If you want a podcast that is specifically for learning English, the podcast Better at English is very good. And if you want something more challenging, you want a podcast that is created for native speakers, I can recommend The School of Greatness by Lewis Howes. I listen to this one quite often. It's very motivating, and you'll learn a lot from it as well. So you've got 2 options here. And just some other resources that I could recommend. Quizlet, it's a free flashcard app. I definitely recommend working with a teacher. It could be a teacher from one of the teachers on my team, as you see here, but it could be any teacher that you're working with. And I also recommend working with a conversation partner like you would find in my Faster Fluency Conversation Club, or any conversation partner, anyone who's going to be there to help you practice conversations in English. Now, let's imagine you have selected your podcast episode and your day starts. You get up, you take your shower, and during your shower, listen to your podcast. And you're just listening to the sounds. You're not specifically listening to try to catch every word, not even maybe to catch the meaning of everything that they're saying, but this is just natural listening. We talked about natural and deliberate learning. So as we go through this virtual immersion program, we're going to see, concrete examples of those. And this is an example of natural listening, just listening to hear the sounds. Then maybe during your breakfast, instead of scrolling through your Facebook, take a few minutes and read the transcript from the podcast and really look for, some useful expressions. You're just looking at it. This is picking up vocabulary from this resource that is printed for you. Then, during your commute to work, so this is when you're driving your car or you're on your bus or maybe you're walking or cycling, of course, be safe, but listen to the same podcast again. And this time you're going to do some deliberate listening. You're going to try to catch those expressions that you noted during your breakfast. So again, you're not listening to catch every single thing that they say in the podcast, but you're just trying to notice and get those expressions that you studied, get them in context. Then, at your lunch break, take a few minutes. This could be 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, whatever you have, because something is better than nothing. But at your lunch break, take some time to create some flashcards in Quizlet with the expressions that you noticed at breakfast on the transcript and that you heard when you were listening to your podcast the second time. And this is your deliberate vocabulary work. You're actively working to learn those new vocabulary words. Then, maybe in the afternoon, you can take as little as 30 minutes and do a lesson with your teacher to ask about some of the things that you don't understand in the podcast. Maybe you have a question about an expression, or you want the teacher to look at the script and to point out some useful expressions to guide you. And you're going to get a mix of natural conversation with the teacher and, again, that deliberate language work of studying and working with those expressions that you want to understand and to learn. Then at the end of the day, we're going to look at two different things you can do depending on if you're driving or if you are riding a bus, for example. So if you're riding a bus to get home, you can listen to the podcast again and follow with the script. So you're looking at the script at the same time that you're listening. Again, you're doing some deliberate listening because you are, doing some focused work to match the sounds that you hear with the written word. Because, in English, sometimes what you hear is sometimes quite different from what you read. So you're doing some work with that. However, if you are driving home, of course, don't look at the script, look at the road, but listen to the podcast again. And this time, again, just notice the expressions, maybe pay more specific attention to the pronunciation, but again, doing some deliberate listening with those expressions that you studied all during the day today. And then in the evening, for something that's maybe a little more relaxing, a little more fun, just connect with your conversation partner and talk about the topic of the podcast. You're having a natural conversation like you would have with a friend or a colleague, but it's just in English. Hey, I listened to this podcast today and it talked all about, time management, and I really liked this part about, whatever. But again, natural conversation. Maybe you can use some of the expressions that you learned during the day, and you're really consolidating everything that you've done this day. Another thing that you can do if you don't have a conversation partner, if you do have a conversation partner, but you really want to try to use the expressions that you've studied during the day, is to make a list of the expressions. Have that list, where you can see it. And then just try to place those expressions into your conversation sometime. And as you do it, just, mark off the expression. I use that expression. I use that expression. And this is a way of doing deliberate conversation because you have a specific conversation objective there. So, that is an idea of a virtual immersion that you can do on one day with one podcast episode. But of course, in a virtual immersion, just one day, that's not sufficient. You're going to have to keep this up over the long term. So we're going to look at, what you need to really implement your virtual immersion plan sustainably, keeping that consistency and integrating it into your busy life. So the first thing is to realize that you build new habits little by little. You may be able to change everything overnight, but if that's hard for you, don't be discouraged. Just make one small change at a time. And the idea is that progressively you're going to work smarter, not harder. You're going to be more efficient and you're going to use your valuable time more wisely. And when you get your virtual immersion plan sort of, up and running, implemented, you are going to live the language every day, not just work on it for 1 hour a week and not just during study lessons, but you're really going to live in English every day. And that is going to give you that consistency, which, I've been repeating this, is really the key to building up that habit of feeling comfortable and confident in English and getting up to that advanced fluency level. Now, it sounds nice, but I'll be honest, you're going to face challenges. And sometimes this is hard to deal with, but we can deal with it. Let's anticipate the challenges that you're going to face. Making time, it's easy to make excuses, not so easy sometimes to make time. So one challenge is going to be to avoid the excuses. Oh, I'm tired at the end of the day. I don't want to look at my computer at the end of the day. In the morning, I just rush out of the house because I just have a quick coffee. Then in this case, maybe you have to look at what can you change in your day to make the time for your English. And again, you don't have to change everything. Start with one simple thing. Maybe instead of rushing out of the house, wake up 15 minutes earlier or 10 minutes earlier and use that extra time to do a little bit of English. Another challenge that you're probably going to face is feeling stuck and frustrated and then stopping because you just feel like, this is so hard, I can't do this. Well, what you can do for that is acknowledge it, accept it, maybe take a little break. Maybe you need a day off. But then come back the next day and then again try to do something small to get a small victory that is going to make you feel good. Say, hey, I did it. I did 5 minutes of English today. Tomorrow I'm going to do 7 minutes. And just do a little bit like that. And another challenge that you're going to face when you're putting together your virtual immersion program is perhaps feeling overwhelmed by the options. There are so many resources out there to learn English. It's like, where do I start? What do I work with? What do I need? I don't know. So I'm just not going to do anything. So just know that there are a lot of options out there. Just pick something and start with it and then see if it works for you. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. But just pick something and start. And don't worry about the other options that are out there. Now, also just be aware that it is easy to abandon your project when you're alone. It's easy to find the excuses. It's easy to not do anything because there's no one there who is saying, hey, did you do your lesson? Hey, tell me what you learned. You can just not do it. And that is not a good thing because, like we said, you're gonna face the challenges. You don't want to face them alone. And it's like in almost anything in life. You go further when you have others to support you, when you don't have that motivation to have someone to say, oh, come on, you can do it. Just give me a little bit. I just want to see one result, one small thing. but I don't want you to give up. You're going to go further. So next time, what we're going to look at is how my virtual immersion program, Master Real American English, really accelerates your results compared to traditional classes, but also how it gives you all of these things that you need to overcome those challenges that you're going to face. You're going to see how my teachers, how your classmates, and how I will help you to speak English more naturally at an advanced level, and exactly how each approach in the program really moves you closer to advanced English, but also how it helps you sustain your motivation, stay focused, use your time efficiently, and do more in 3 months than you maybe ever thought possible. But today, I want to give you a take action tip. I want you to choose one of the podcasts in the virtual immersion program that we looked at today, or any podcast that you enjoy. And I want you to do the program that you just learned today. Or if you feel like that's a little bit much right now, just do as much as you can. Do one thing, do 2 things, just do something. You got to get started and try that for 1 day. And then I want you to come back and in the comments tell me how you feel because you did, maybe that one activity. Maybe you did all of the activities, but I want you to come back and tell me how that felt to really accomplish that victory. And then tomorrow, there'll be a special video because we are going to officially open the applications for the virtual immersion program, Master Real American English. All during the month of September, we're going to be taking applications. I'm going to work with my team. We're going to select the students to come into this program with us. It's a 3-month program. It's going to start in October, November, and then we'll do December and January because of the holidays. But you'll get 12 full weeks in the program. And because we will select a small number of students to participate in this virtual immersion program with us, you must apply to join because we want to make sure that the program is right for you and you are right for the program so that you're going to get the success that you want with it. All right, so I will see you tomorrow with some more information on that program. But today, your take action tip, I want you to try out some of that virtual immersion program or all of that we learned today. And I want to hear how it goes. All right, thanks a lot, and I will see you tomorrow.